right, welcome in. A little hybrid EL Plus Sunday morning hangover here on your sports leader, ESPN 680, 105.7, the ESPN Louisville app, and YouTube. Like and subscribe. I'm Phil Baker. Justin Sofro joining me for the first hour on this beautiful Memorial Day weekend. Mark with a C. Weinberg did not give us a favorable forecast, but nonetheless, we tried to power through. Sofro from the beautiful Sofro Sex Dungeon Studios down there, looking good. I'm here in the beautiful ESPN Louisville Plus studios here in the back. Maybe hop down to the Baker Bunker here in a bit as well. But happy Memorial Day weekend, Sofro. You doing all right, buddy?
I'm doing good. I appreciate it. Like I said, just had a little 9-year, you talk about the sex dungeon, you talk about what happens down here, and I'm just celebrating 9 years of blissful marriage. So, that's what it is.
3 kiddos
you just
later,
heard
baby.
that blissful marriage a second ago.
I did. Look, I've been on the other side of those things. Like, I told you to grab this, and this, and it's like now I see why people like make lists. Like Strebel always talks about like shared calendars, and I'm like, there's too much stuff that's like I'm being bombarded with. It's like, task, work stuff, emails, kiddos thing. That's like, I see why people now have lists to stay organized and just not forget things as that's kind of chaos is out there.
And that's kind of a shout out. If anybody knows a good system for sharing, electronic calendars, let me know, because I would like to, because I have way too much going on now and it's too hard to keep up of where I am with the kids and with everybody. So let me know. Just drop that in there. Anyway,
my biggest pet peeve, real quick, 437-9680, the UPS jobs text line. My biggest pet peeve probably is when like I set a reminder in my calendar, but it links to like a different email, and that one's like set to no notifications about it. Like that's a pet peeve of mine of work email, personal email, another email that the burners that are out there that I keep getting. And it's like, I didn't have a reminder set for that. It doesn't do me any good if it's in my calendar if I don't have a reminder. So I digress, as nobody cares about this on Memorial Day weekend. Tons of things to get into. Still evaluating the roster stuff. I'm more fascinated about, some of the social media fodder that's out there with like, I was talking with, I think, Andy on Wednesday, and we were talking about who tweets something first. Is it Mark Pope? Is it John Calipari? Or is it Kentucky basketball about SGA winning the MVP? So that was out there. We can dive into something I sent you. The Jeff Goodman stuff with Will Wade is just so funny to me, because like, all these anonymous coaches, and I said this the other day too, that aren't putting their name on it. It's like, it's Will Wade. You're not talking about one of the titans of the sport. It's Will Wade that I think the masses have like said, we're going to, dare I say, like make you out to be like Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. Like there's no other way around it. Like you're that bad guy part of the job. Like just lean into it. But like Jeff Goodman, for whatever reason, some of the coaches that want to remain anonymous are not sharing their name or putting their name on it. So I thought that was pretty humorous out there. I wanted to get your thoughts about that. Also wanted to dive into Matt Norlander put something out there, which I have very strong opinions about this. So a huge new event in the works of the majority of college basketball blue bloods, sources tell CBS Sports. It's called the Diamond Cup. The debut is planned for 2027. It's a major unprecedented scheduling idea. Can it all come together? So wanted to get your thoughts about that. And you got Strebel apparently eating cat food coming up on Friday, which, I mean, there's a text thread. I heard in Strebel's voice the combative nature around Flory Badungas. Apparently, he has signed, and Strebel going to eat cat food. It went from a can to now it's a spoonful. He gets to pick the brand. There's a lot of wiggle room. Like, what are your thoughts about this?
To me, I feel like a spoonful is just kind of, it's kind of I'll use the term Strebel likes to use a lot, a spit in the eye at us fans, at us listeners who have, this has been a big thing. This has been a big topic of contention. If you're going to live up to saying that you're going to take some kind of stand, a bet against a fan base, against, you feel confident that Louisville wasn't going to get Badunga. That's fine. I don't feel like a tiny little spoonful is going to be enough, especially for a guy like Strebel. I ain't a small guy. Strebel ain't a small guy. He can eat. He can eat a can of Friskies. I feel like there's no excuse for him, because I feel like doing that tiny amount, that doesn't sit. There's no punishment for one little bit because you can literally kind of like close your eye. Yeah,
taking a shot. It's like he has his chaser with a beer or bourbon, whatever he's going to have, and no one's saying he can't have that. Which I would argue. I mean, if it's as terrible as some think it's going to be, I mean, chasing that with the wrong drink could be problematic. But Strebel's probably chugged other worse things in his life. But Mad Dog 40/40 or 20/20, is that what he's Four Locos? But I'm with you. I think my thing is like, go to the dollar store, just get one of those like little tuna cans of cat food, and it's because then you start getting into the size of the spoon. Is it a nibble? Is it an actual bite? And I feel like for it to really get the clout of the likes and the impressions and the engagement that had Andy, the folks from the SEC Network reached out a couple of years ago about this very bit with the football coaches when he was going to make it out there. I think it was like, what if Tennessee beat or Kentucky beat Tennessee? No, Tennessee beats Kentucky. Maybe it was the other way around. If Kentucky were to lose to Tennessee, I forget what it was, he was going to eat it. And the SEC producer reached out to Andy, like wanted to do a bit around it. Like for you to get the entire clout that I think Strebel is wanting, I'm with you. I think it needs to be bigger than a bite. And I looked in the Dropbox, the sound that's out there it's kind of like a long diatribe around, the cat food, but I feel like he doesn't really specify at the beginning, like whether it's a spoonful or just an entire can. So I need to dig for that. I need to go back because I know when he was going on his diatribe and Strebel was getting worked up over it, I can't necessarily pinpoint what exactly the amount or size that he said he was going to take in. So you can save that for the mixtape as well.
I don't love that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different factors, different details that need to be kind of hammered down there. But the problem is now we've let it go on too far. We've let Strebel wiggle. He does that thing every time. You're like, how is he going to get out of this thing? How is he going to find his way out of it? And this is how he's going to do it. He's going to dilute it. And he's already talked about how afterward he immediately gets to chug whatever. He gets to drink whatever he wants. He can have all the things to just kind of suppress that flavor. No, I think it's got to be like kind of like how you hinted at. Like he's got to sit there. I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, with that taste on his tongue. A little taste, a little tip.
And I feel like there's so many different little things that like you could get. So my thing is like the cat food. Okay, we're not going to specify that. Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson, Riggs, Murtaugh, whenever he's trying to quit smoking, he eats dog biscuits, right? I mean, is it probably the best? No, but I'm sure there's almost like cereal-like cat food that he could get and just, what would equate to a small tuna can, and he could do that. But apparently this is happening next Friday. I don't know what there's a text thread. I'm out there with you, so we're going to have to try to get this out there. I know we'll be sent the video on ESPN Louisville Plus. We'll have a whole, set up. Tanner was approaching me. He wants to, he was talking about doing it at Humane Society. Andy knows somebody at Louisville Metro. I was like, I'll send an email, but if it sounds like a lot of work that's going to fall back to be that,
it's going to be you. It's going to be you and me. It's going to be you, me. And then I love too, Andy coming at this. Like, the people that have been involved in all this. No. And I love you, Bosmer, but Corey Bosmer, he needs to be doing it, not Justin. No, forget Justin. He's old news. There's new media in here now. But then overall, just the I don't know. I just feel like we got to hold him. There's too many ideas that are also coming into the room at one time. Nick Valvano talking about doing a charcuterie board. Make sure you say it correctly because that's dangerous. But he wants to come in there with a charcuterie board, and I'm like, Nick, I can't get you to show up and have like decent internet sometimes, like do one of these videos. Like, don't tell me you're going to set up a whole.
I think Nick would actually be excellent at that component. He'll borrow a dish from the serving job. It'll probably be way too expensive. He's like, I'm going to bring it back. He doesn't put it in bubble wrap. He puts it in an Afghan or blanket that he has in the back of his car from hockey from 5 years ago, and it comes in pristine. But he's going to try to do like a Yes Chef type of thing from the Bear, and then he has the presentation with parsley on top. I actually think Nick would excel at the display of like making it look like something from a highfalutin Met Gala that's out there, dish that's out there. So I actually think Nick would do really well in that regards. But yes, I'm with you. There are too many cooks in the kitchen, dare I say.
Is that a conversation where maybe maybe that's one of the things of like, Nick, that's your creative bug that you get in you. Maybe take that energy. Take that and put it other places in your life, Nick. I don't know. Just I'm not gonna go full blanket maker taking shots at Nick, but I'm gonna lay one or two.
Did you like the taste in your mouth? Let's get that taste back in our mouth.
That's what Streeble needs. Streeble needs to get that taste back in his mouth.
He's Justin Sofro. I'm Phil Baker. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, ESPN Louisville Plus on there. He's Justin Sofro on Twitter. I'm Phil__Baker. Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. Hopefully you're getting some good time with the family out there as well. We can dive into some of the roster construct that I know some out there. Maybe some questions with kind of building out the roster, what that looks like, and moving forward. You got the Indy 500 if anybody cares about that. Patty Ice can send in his picks for that, and we won't give him any credit for that. But for me, I think a lot of this, roster construct stuff that's been out there. And I think for the last month or so, a lot of us were under the premise after, John Schnatter was getting back involved with the university that maybe and reconciling with that, a lot of it maybe was under the scope of that's something that he was giving to the school, and that's where the money is. I think that's completely changed now. Listening to Drew and Mark and Blaine Baker and talking to them, I mean, this is absolutely borrowed money. And it was funny kind of explaining some of that to Leo, who was on the board last week on SMH. And, he was just like appalled about, he's like, we're borrowing money. I'm like, yeah, like that's the name of the game now. Your goal in this duration of the next decade is to be relevant. Thank God the Kenny Payne experience wasn't going on now. I mean, it's done, terrible, terrible damage to the university. But I mean, imagine if you were dealing with that like now, even more so would be amplified. Like, and with the lifeboats of you trying to be relevant and being seen as one of that. So you got that. That's out there as well. But if they're borrowing money, and, I kind of agree with Andy and what Drew and others have said. It's like, if you're going to have a $25 million roster, why stop there? Go for 30. Make yourself relevant. Make it kind of the cool thing, because, I mean, at some point you're hoping that it'll catapult you into a discussion point where this leads to championship. But if the experiment doesn't go well, then we're talking about some very jarring concerns of the overall athletic department if that happens.
Well, the idea, the philosophy, the line of thinking, I guess, with this is if you spend enough money, you look at the roster. I'll say this as somebody who, well known to be a critic of the way things have been, especially the last 3 to 4 years.
You never,
yeah, right, never. But like, I am very pleased with the way that they have moved, the way the money that's being spent, the players the acquisition that they've done. Great, right? There is that giant elephant in the room, and I know everybody's kind of been talking about it a little bit, but like that pressure on PK is going to be monumental to be able to do something with this. I know the line of thinking because I remember hearing people talk early on when they brought PK in. It's like kind of like you're getting somewhat of a discount level coach who's highly thought of. He's highly thought of as a strategist, and that he can coach guys up, that he can get them hyped up and all that. It's great. A motivator of young men. The issue that I wonder is, in the long run, if they spend all this money and the reality sets in, you know what I mean? Like that's, and I know I'm going right back into negativity, but this is a thought that I think we have to consider.
What's that line, right? Like, if you see this, but like obviously you saw what transpired with Kentucky losing in the round of 32. Like, is it Sweet 16? Is it Elite 8? Is it Final Four? Like, because I'm with I hear our good friend Ethan Moore, and this is, I'm not picking on him, but it's like I've heard others say it's like it's Sweet 16 or bust. It should be for every year for that. But like, I think the pressure will get enhanced, but like, what does that mean? Like, you're upset? Like, how does – and this is what I always go back to. It's like, what has Josh Hurd and the administration – and that's the bigger question if you put all this money in there and it's like it's not even good enough to get past the Sweet 16. I'm fascinated at that discussion. Well, that's kind of that's exactly where I was going with it, because but even so, like with the amount of pure talent, the way as talented as this roster is, and then there's also the side part of my head that thinks this is a very talented roster, but again, these are also players that are talented enough that
but they're not talented enough to go pro. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They're not talented enough to be professionals in the sport. So it's like it's that tier. What is it? A minus is like an A minus B tier kind of level of developed talent, because a lot of them are older. You know, you have that balance there. My concern is, so what happens though? What happens if Pat Kelsey ends up going out again in the second round? And then we're sitting here saying we spent, and we laughed and we make jokes about Mark Pope and the amount of money they spent on last year's roster. But again, Louisville, at that point, is Louisville able to, I'm guessing you're hoping that the amount of ticket sales, the amount of whatever money you make throughout the year will be enough to make it worth it in the end. What happens if we're sitting in? I mean, I know what happens, right? You're looking like Mark Pope like this year. It's Mark Pope. Nobody, you can't pay anybody to come play for you. I don't even know how much money you actually do have, or they're actually willing to invest in you. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it.
And that's the hope, and that's where I think you're kind of in this era of, dare I go back in the Wayback Machine of, like, I do this, the crutch I do all the time. It's like, go look at the early years of Billy Donovan, Jay Wright. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't. Mm-hmm. And I think I don't want to keep saying that. I don't think that should be the line of thinking and the reason to keep somebody if you don't think he's worth it. But I think that's what Josh Hurd is doing. Yeah. And that speaks to a larger fundamental discussion of where we are in 2026 versus, the Tom Jurich side. And that's not me being pro Tom, anti Josh. I just think, what does he view as a success? Yeah. That's what's interesting to me, because I think he would point down to, some of the down years that Rick had. I mean, I just think he would. It's like, look, I mean, I remember like what Pat Kelsey's done in the first year. I mean, I remember back-to-back years, Louisville and Rick Pitino losing to Butler and Xavier. I do. I remember where I was. And it's like, so it's extremely difficult, but the money wasn't what it is now, or they're out there publicly. So that's interesting as well. I wanted to get your thoughts too, and I want to spend a decent amount of time about this. I know we got some Will Wade sound. Maybe we'll play another stuff. But yeah, go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. I didn't want to move on, but I do want you to get to your point or the next part. But I mean, I hate to go. Is it not do or die? Like, is it not kind of a do or die season because it's at year 3? I mean, I have no false beliefs that Louisville's going to move on from Pat Kelsey after this season if it doesn't go perfectly, right? But at the same time, it's like as a fan, is there no party that kind of feels like, well, this is just kind of what it is? Like, you have that kind of level of talent, and if they're not able to make an Elite 8 or a Sweet 16 Elite 8, at that point.
Okay, can I counter with this? And I'm not saying you're wrong, because I think in this day and age, you should be able to flip it out. There was an infamous photo that was circulating, I think, at the EYBL with Dusty May and Pat Kelsey, which I just smirked at over the last weekend down in Memphis, I think. But something that was funny to me and interesting, just as talking to Grossman, I think off air, if you could get in the Wayback Machine, if you're an Indiana fan, would have you have moved on from Tom Crean?
Hell no.
Okay, so
okay, so but I personally thought they were stupid to do it when they did it. Like, I didn't understand it.
I did too. Now, do you think Tom Crean eventually could have gotten Indiana where they wanted to go? It's not meant for.
No, that's sorry. I'm just staring at myself because I'm like, probably not. But
yeah, I mean, but it's like, but
that's that recalibration of what Indiana is at that time. I know. But that, again, maybe I'm looking at myself in the mirror differently. Where, like, I still think Louisville is Rick Pitino Louisville basketball or Denny Crum Louisville basketball, and it's like, maybe that's not something that you can attain for a while, but there's the money there. But Indiana has the money. I honestly, Indiana is an anomaly that I do not get it. Do not understand.
Oh, I'm with you in terms of the basketball tradition, which I don't know how much that matters now in this climate, but I'm with you. You saw what happened in football. But I say that from the standpoint of, you see this changing of the guard of new faces of the sport. Todd Golden, Dusty May. Obviously, what transpired here, with the Dusty May stuff. But I think the hope is that with this investment that he's getting there, if you think that Pat Kelsey is a individual that can eventually grow into those coaches that you alluded to, then Josh Hurd's going to give him time. And there was an extension of Josh Hurd that kind of flew under the radar. So again, I'm with you. I think we're probably viewing it through the Denny Patino prism, but I also think not to pin it against the Jurich people against Hurd, because I mean, some stuff that has transpired, you could question how Hurd has handled it with going back to the Jeff Brom stuff. But I think at the end of the day, you're looking at this of how he's viewing Pat Kelsey doing the job. As a fan, you are probably not going to be happy with the results if you do not make an Elite Eight or Final Four. And I even think then, with the amount of money that's being reported, vague or not, there's going to be a component of people that tend to say, with the amount of money that's linked to this, whether it's true or not, it was an underwhelming season. Does that lead to any additional pressure that Pat Kelsey is not the guy or not? I have no idea, because I think they're going to give him such a long leash and runway to try and figure these out, because they're getting him on the cheap.
Yeah.
He has a good recruiting, and your hope is that it will be used. It's probably going to be used more than I think people realize about some of the down years that even the great Rick Pitino had. I know people don't want to hear that. I'm just telling you, I think that's how, from talking to people over there that are connected, I think that's how the new administration is viewing it.
And I remember those years. I remember, like I said, losing to Cal in the first round and wanting to fire Rick. And I remember all those feelings. I'm not really wanting to fire Rick, but people talking about,
it was out there.
Passing by.
It was
all
out
that. There. Pat Kelsey. I mean, yeah, and that's the one thing that I can't really. He's earned it to me, even though a lot of the season has been this last season wore on me a lot. But he is a recruiter. He's able to, because we've seen it nowadays. It's not. You can have the biggest bag in the world if they don't like you, if they don't feel like you can coach them, if there's something off, Mark Pope, they're not going to come. So I'll give him that. I'm still concerned. It might just be one of those things where he has to make a run. He has to make a run. I also know how hard it is to make a run. I understand how difficult it is to win the NCAA tournament. But coming off of the level where we were, we have that expectation of, well, money's in the game now. Now it's legal. Why can't we just buy us a championship? And we'll see. Yeah. He's trying to do the Michigan blueprint is what they're saying. So we'll see.
No, I'm with you. Reminder coming up after us, Reds, Cardinals coming up, Angels and Rangers over on 93.9 The Ville, 7:30, Spurs and Thunder. Should be a fun one over there. But yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a big year for him, knowing that I don't think, unless it's an absolute utter disaster, anything's going to happen. And even then, I don't think anything will happen over there. He's Justin Sofer. I'm Phil Baker. Keep it locked here to your sports station, ESPN 680, 105.7, ESPN Louisville Plus. Like and subscribe. Be sure to give Justin a follow on Twitter. It's Justin Sofro for all his he's just a beacon of positivity when it comes to his team over there. I'm Phil _ Baker. Nick Kern set to join us here in a little bit, getting to do some of his bats responsibilities before he's able to join. So I appreciate Justin Sofro helping us out with that. A couple other things I'll dive into on the other side. I think this Diamond package, that's coming up, you can talk about who deserves it and whatnot. But I think one of the big things that people tend to lean into, I guess a lot of the ripple effect came from Duke and the Amazon stuff that's kind of lingering out there as well. Wanted to dive into, if you have any strong opinions about the TBT, what that looks like. There's some new things around that. And then also we can talk about some of the draft stock as well. We got a plethora of stuff to get into before we get Sofro out of here on that. Justin, let me tell you real quick about our friends over at Juiced Fuel. So, Sofro, I wish you would have come down here. I'm going to try to set you up for the next time so you can get that company card down there. So, these beacons of just, positivity. We're talking about your Twitter handle.
Yep.
Juiced Fuel, they came down here and they got it's like a gas station on wheels. They came to us, they filled up like all our guys. Zachy C sprinted like he was, Darren Ravel at the NFL Combine up there to get free gas. So he came up there and, just think about this. Everybody's got aging parents. Everybody's got, that one family member, friend, cousin, Nick Valvano, Creighton, who run out of gas, they bring the gas to you. And it's pretty close to what you're paying for at the gas station. So take out the middleman. They bring it to you, work, home, wherever it may be. And if you're a business owner, guys, I sat there and watched some employees at a local dealership getting fill up tanks, and it took them like about an hour. And I'm like, what is happening? They'll come to you and they'll fill up the tanks for you. So you go to juicedfuel.com/Louisville and then mention or enter the promo code ESPN and you will get the free first month of VIP taken care of that. It's juicedfuel.com, convenience delivered. On the other side, we'll dive into some other nonsense. Want to get to just some Will Wade sound and people not putting their name on it. He's Justin Sofro. I'm Phil Baker. Keep it locked here to your sports station, ESPN Louisville and ESPN Louisville Plus. All right, welcome back. Sunday Morning Hangover Hybrid with ESPN Louisville Plus. That's Justin Sofro. I'm Phil Baker. Keep it locked here to your sports leader, ESPN Louisville. Be sure to like and subscribe over on the YouTube channel as well, doing this little hybrid show out there. Happy Memorial Day to everybody that's out there. Be sure to give Justin a follow on Twitter at Justin Sofro. I am Phil _ Baker, working on that double underscore. Damn you, Elon Musk. So, yeah, we had a fun first segment talking about just nonsense with the roster building. Want to dive into this thing that Matt Norlander put out. I guess it's the reason why Gonzaga and Kentucky are canceling the series. So we have that. Wanted to get his thoughts about that. But what's the Sofro plans for Memorial Day weekend? Do you have any? I know it's your wedding anniversary as well. Is this just kind of contingent on the weather? What does that look like for you?
It's funny. We celebrated the wedding anniversary this last week, and it was fun. It was nice. And just to show how loved I am in my household, and by my family, the in-laws, everybody, Monday rolls around, and it's a Memorial Day. And, I'm dropping them off at the airport so they can go to the beach and enjoy a week on vacation. And I'm staying home and I get to stay here and work. Everybody gets on me because I say that I work 3 jobs. I know the work I do with ESPN Louisville may not be viewed as work, but it's, I make those reels, baby. I put them out. They're there. They're highlighting your favorite shows. I'll have one out for this one too as well. But anyway, so I get to enjoy dropping them off at the airport while I stay home and do, I guess I get a Lockapalooza, a Justin Palooza.
Oh, nice. So the kiddos are leaving too, and
wife is taking, literally, God bless her, my 5-year-old, my 3-year-old, and my 10-month-old infant down to, I don't know if they're going to Florida or Gulf Shores or wherever they're going. I don't know where they're going.
You don't got it. Wow.
Her parents are going with her too. So,
well, I know, but I'm still anniversary week, you don't have to go. I like this. This is a Sofro Palooza. Shout out to that.
No, it's 9 months in, or 9 months, 9 years in. Her gift is you don't have to work. you don't have to. She works. Okay, I'm gonna get myself in big trouble. She
careful,
works
King.
as a stay-at-home mom. It's a lot of work. It's hard. You don't have to go to a place.
You're gonna make this the real? You're gonna make this the real that you put out on social media?
No, I don't need any evidence to get out there that I said this. Even though she could probably hear me downstairs, I'm probably gonna pay for it upstairs as soon as I walk up. So
maybe edit this part out. Like I said, that's Sofro. Nick Hurd should be joining us here in a little bit. Keep it locked here to your sports leader. If you're driving around, Reds Cardinals coming up after us here on ESPN 680, 105.7, as well as we got Angels and Rangers for a little Sunday night baseball on 680 over on 93.9 The Ville. Game 4, Spurs and Thunder. We can dive into some mock drafts too as well. I know we had some NBA draft guys on earlier this week that we can maybe react to. Now, you tell me where you want to go, Sofro. We alluded to this Diamond. What did I say? It's called the Diamond Cup, where it has Arizona, Kentucky, Carolina, Kansas, Michigan, IU, UConn, and Gonzaga apparently. And then also you got the Will Wade stuff. So you tell me. I'm going to let you pick this one.
This tournament thing seems to be the topic of the day, and it's kind of turning me on a little bit. Or turning me off, but turning me on at the same time when it comes to giving takes, because the idea, the thought of, and I'll let you set it up if you want. I'm talking about how Matt Nordlander kind of broke the news and put it out there about this event being created, but like calling it a blue blood of the sport game. And then some of the teams I'm looking at, no.
Yeah.
Just no. Just no. Like that pisses me off. Like
I'm with you. So let me set this up for those that haven't seen it. So for via CBS Sports, college basketball's next huge regular season event is in the works. If it materializes as planned, we'll give the sport another massive must-see attraction. The proposal currently in the latter planning stages is an 18-pool play called the Diamond Cup that would debut in 2027 or 28 with the basketball and the men's basketball season, sources told CBS Sports. If it comes together as designed, the Diamond Cup would be a blue blood laden in addition to the Player Heirs tournament, which Louisville is in, to bolster the mainstream appeal of college basketball's opening month in a way that it's never been done before. The 8 schools involved in deep discussions, but as many sources stress, are not yet signed, represent the lion's share of the most storied and accomplished programs in college hoops history. Arizona, Connecticut, Gonzaga, Kentucky, Kansas, Indiana, Michigan, and North Carolina. 7 of those schools have been in talks with the Diamond Cup stakeholders since last summer. Duke bowed out earlier this spring due to the deal that it had, I believe, with Amazon, which starts later this year. The Diamond Cup was founded by the St. John's AD, and he's and also previously worked at Duke for more than 3 decades, and is a Nike executive, as well as also fostered significant relationships at the college level for decades. And former DraftKings television executive has been in works as well. So, I mean, for me, like I'm perusing Locke's speed reading this as first shared as the first shared equity alliance in college sports. The Diamond Cup creates a deep institutional alignment and reimagines the beginning of the season of college basketball. The pitch deck also states this is a long-term continuity, is not just a tournament, but a media property designed for the next era of live sports distribution. So, I mean, initially at first glance, I know you and I kind of had the same reaction, but some of the teams that are involved in this don't pass the Justin Sofro smell test of blue bloods. But I think reading some of this with hearing about the Nike executives, which I mean would kind of go against the Kansas Indiana component, and the players era thing, which some of the teams that may be lacking in here are in. What say you about the designing of this? What do you make of it? It just kind of feels like another step toward trying to cannibalize Feast Week, in my opinion, or just a reimagined Feast Week wherever it may end up.
I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of reimagining, redeveloping these different tournaments year in and year out. There's always a new one I got to pay attention to. But this one, it at least interests me enough. But then when you get into it and you look at these teams that are involved, it's like, buddy, like, don't sell it as they got the majority of blue bloods. They got all the blue bloods here. Gonzaga. I'm sorry, Gonzaga's not a blue blood. They've won no tournaments. They've won no championships. Is what I mean. Indiana, fine. I mean, I tend to ride the line that they are no longer a blue blood, though they've won 5 national championships. It's been like we just had a discussion about how Indiana now, how their perception, what they perceive is Tom Crean, who got you to the Sweet 16, should be good enough. At this point, that's kind of one of those things. How many times have we talked about for years about worrying about Louisville becoming the next Indiana, and how Kentucky fans right now are talking about how they're worried that they could become the next Indiana as well, which means you're going to be lost in the woods for 20 years, not sniffing a tournament championship or anything like that. That's part of it. And then Michigan's got a history. Yes, they just won the national title, but would I call Michigan a blue blood of the sport? No.
Yeah, and I think with champions, the Champions Classic that you have out there, you have the CBS Sports Classic. I think there's a little insecurity, at least here locally. It's like, seriously, like Louisville can't be mentioned in this. But I also want to acknowledge that the Players Festival, Players New Era, whatever they're calling it out there in Vegas, is also something that they are participating in, that many fans were clamoring for of that. It's just one of those things that maybe they have contractual obligations, that is Louisville, for that, and these other schools haven't done. I know this is a big point of emphasis for Kentucky fans for not getting back into like Maui, or not getting back into the battle for Atlantis. I don't know what those look like. I'm with you on the preseason tournaments, because a lot of it for me, I'm so over like Look, I like the NBA. I understand why people have their issues with it. I don't want another preseason tournament in Vegas. Like, I just don't. Like, it feels dead. It feels empty. It feels hollow. It just doesn't feel like, give me a small, intimate gym like what they do at Feast Week, whether it be, in Myrtle Beach or the Maui, or even a ballroom in the Atlantis. Like, it just feels more intimate for that. I don't need a big, empty, 8,000, 12,000 seat arena that, half these fan bases don't go to. So I'm a little over that. And it's just okay. Like it's a little bit, I love Feast Week and I want to see what this looks like and who the media partner is and how they get behind it. But it just feels like they're so concerned about getting like these players the equity in these tournaments that they want, that I feel like they're moving at like 95 miles an hour trying to get these things off the ground. So I mean, I know those are the blue bloods, but I'm with you. Gonzaga gets more love for a team that hasn't won the big one and than I've ever seen. Like it's truly amazing. Like Mark Few, and I'm not as anti Gonzaga as some of the other like Strebel is around here, but it's like, my God, the amount of love that these guys get. Like, whose ass did you kiss in order to like be known as the up and coming team, Cinderella team, when you got a ton of wins and you haven't won the national championship? Like, the love that these guys get sometimes are just utterly fascinating to me.
And I think too, a lot of the main reason, like the reason I like early tournaments is because it gives you a taste of March. Like that's the point of it. The point is it's supposed to taste like March. You talked about that new Vegas. What's it called? I always forget. Louisville's gonna play in it. So the bracket for the Players Era 8 tournament, which will start November 17th in Vegas, has been set. It's Houston and Rutgers, Florida and Notre Dame, West Virginia and Auburn, and Kansas and UNLV. So Kansas is able to do both, which I'm curious to why Louisville wasn't. Is that a normal format, or is that one of those weird, like you win, but it's points and all the other stuff? Where they move around. I have no interest in that kind of stuff. Like to me, it's win or lose. Survive in advance. Give me that. I don't need to be doing math. I don't need to do arithmetic to figure out if I'm going to play. Yeah.
You don't need the NBA Cup in college basketball. I'm completely with you on that. Like, and I understand what they're trying to do with the Euro, but I couldn't agree more with that, because it's exhausting when it's like, I have to think too much about this, like what they're trying to do. This is too gimmicky for me. This is too
Sports trying to escape from the day-to-day life stuff. I don't need arithmetic. I don't need it to get through sports. I just don't. It's something that I'm definitely having an issue with. I don't know. I may call me a traditionalist. I prefer keep the Maui. I understand it's gotten old, but like the Bahamas was one I was okay, and that one, it opened it up to me just because you were it was in a different. If you're in unique settings, that makes a difference too. Like that was played in a ballroom, so it was kind of different. It was kind of cool. You have that intimate, loud high school gymnasium feel, maybe somewhat, but also it's packed. It's people are, there's other cool parts about it. We'll see how this turns out. I worry that you're trying to make it. Yes, you have big names. I think don't oversell it too with the idea that these are blue bloods when people know what blue bloods are. So I've left Arizona out of my crosshairs too, but whatever.
Yeah. So I misspoke a little bit on this. So I'm looking this up. So I just said, so the Players Era Championship. I want to get this right because I think I got some of my wires crossed on this. So I want to make sure this is right. So there's 24 teams, 2 tournaments. So I don't know if these overlap. Or I'm so confused. So there's an additional bracket. So the Players Era. I was right. The Players Era 8 will take place the week of November 16th and feature Kansas, Florida, Houston, Auburn, Notre Dame, West Virginia, and Rutgers and UNLV. This is what the press release says from ESPN that I got in my email that I just read. The Players Era 16 will be played over 5 days during Thanksgiving week and include reigning national champion Michigan, along with Gonzaga, St. John's, Baylor, Louisville, Iowa State, Alabama, Tennessee, Miami, Texas Tech, Maryland, TCU, Oregon, Creighton, San Diego State, and Kansas State. So additional details, including matchup schedule, broadcast. So I'm assuming these overlap. So the overall, I'm guessing these brackets will combine. Like this is making me think too much of that. So so I guess there's an opportunity. But to your point, some of the crossovers from the Diamond Classic are participating in this, and I'm with you. I don't think Arizona. Yeah, they've had some success. 97. But again, the Final Fours, like, again, this is the brand hit. Are we in the bubble? Like, this is the brand hit that Louisville has taken over the course of the last decade plus.
I'm seeing a lot of sensitive fans. I'm reading through the tweets now, and I get it. I'm not going to really fault them for not including Louisville in it. Yes, I think Louisville should have been invited, but it's been so long at this point in my life that when Louisville, yes, we won a tournament game this year, but it's been so long that you've been competitive at that level, that you've won these games of merit, of note. I mean, yes, Pat Kelsey's doing a better job of getting them back to where they need to be, but this last season, there's not a single game that you can hang your hat off. Like that's the hardest part. Is like, no, like Louisville, you're playing at the level of a high mid-major right now. Until you beat the big boys, until you win any of those games, until you beat John Calibre, until you beat Rick Barnes, until you beat any of those kinds of teams, beat Duke, beat Shire, like you're not legitimate right now. So that's one of my issues that I have. But I don't, I'm more upset looking in the mirror than looking at other people for not including Louisville. That being said, there are other ones that I'm like, yeah, you invited them over Louisville. Don't call them the blue blood because they haven't earned blue blood yet. Congratulations, Michigan. You've done a lot. You've competed. They've been involved in championships multiple times over the last decade and plus. But at the same time, they're not a blue blood yet. Gonzaga, I'm tired of the fake juice. Get them out of here. And then, also, let's just talk about it because you have these teams that are involved. And yes, I know Kentucky gets in because they are the blue blood of all blue bloods. They don't look like it right now. Like, how long is it going to be before Kentucky looks like a blue blood again?
Well, they got to put a field together, Sofro. They got to put somebody in these things, But
I'm just saying. Like,
they get turned down by Duke. They get turned down by other places. Like, I'm with you. It's like Louisville has the records, and you can talk about the vacation. Even with the vacation, it's still up there as one of the highest. The wins and the tournament appearances, Final Fours, 2 championships, which I think 3 we're in agreement put you in a different stratosphere. But yeah, I wish it was something that there was a different spell test.
They do this all the time. Did you see Fox Sports?
I know.
College basketball. They always tweet out the dude, and they tweeted like the total numbers of wins and like the top 10 or 20 or whatever it was. And Louisville's not on the list. And I looked at it and I was like, wait, that can't be right, because it had Notre Dame and I can't remember who was at the end. It was like Notre Dame and was it St. John? No, I don't know who it was.
I saw it and I was like, I'm not even giving it the impression. I just scrolled right past it because it's some intern that's copying and pasting from Wikipedia that like doesn't put the notes in there about.
Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Because I can tell if it's like interns that don't know really the history. Because like heck, now, like I said, with how long it's been, that was when I graduated college. It's been long enough now that really kids are growing up not knowing about Louisville basketball, which is sad.
Oh no, just you like got a lot of Temple's in there, Syracuse, St. John's, Notre Dame, and Purdue.
Those teams.
I think it's absolutely an intern who doesn't have the full mental capacity to like look up what's happened outside the scope of the last 5 to 10 years.
I don't know why, but I thought I had heard or something that like there's somebody who works there that's like a big Kentucky honk that does it on purpose. I don't know why I thought I'd heard
Barstool has one. I don't know about Fox.
Yeah, I know that guy, but I don't know why I thought Fox Sports did, because they consistently do it. But I guess it is. Yeah. Okay. I'll give him a pass. Because I was about to go scorched earth, because it constantly, I see it every time. And I'm like, really? Like you don't know that Louisville won that title? Like, you don't think Louisville basketball has won 2,000 games? Okay.
I know. Right. It's what they do around that. Real quick before we get into some other nonsense out here, the Will Wade stuff, like the Jeff Goodman going scorched earth, all that. What did you make of that? Do you care about that? Did you hear the Jeff Goodman sound? I know I sent you one, and I know he like went on a massive F-bomb tirade too.
This one's bleed. Do you want me to play it?
If you want to, I think it's good sound. So I think this is via WJOX down in Alabama or Birmingham, kind of talking about Will Wade and all the filth that he's been bringing to college basketball. So if just let me know when you have that ready. But yeah, Jeff Goodman, Field of 68, is not a fan of Will Wade, and I guess he cites a bunch of anonymous coaches that how they have their thoughts about that. Here's Will Wade on was it Cole Kublik's show down there in JOX? Here's what it sounded like.
At all, he cares about one person, that's Will Wade. And I'm sick and tired of it, guys. And I've known this guy since he was first broke in. The craziest part of all this, I met him, his first, I think, full-time assistant job. You know where it was? At Harvard, of all places. Harvard. Imagine Tommy Amaker right now, the Harvard head coach, seeing what Will Wade has done throughout the course of his career. You know, this guy gets run out of college basketball for cheating, gets a second chance at McNeese State, gets another chance at the high major level at NC State. And obviously we know what he did at 1 year, and he said bye-bye. He goes back to LSU. He hires Rick Stansbury. I always use this line to kind of try to describe what I think of Rick Stansbury. Always when it's the smart money's always on Rick Stansbury and recruiting. Okay, so you can figure out what I think and what everybody thinks of Rick Stansbury. When Rick Stansbury used to walk into the gyms in AAU events, I was there. I started in recruiting. Coaches would literally walk out. They knew they had no chance when Rick Stansbury was going to walk in. So Stansbury has been out of the game for the last year and living, from what I'm told, basically overseas. And their superpower, Will Wade and Rick Stansbury's of years ago, a lot of coaches felt like was going to be gone. You know, like everybody's on an equal playing field right now. Everybody has money. Well, they have a new superpower now, which is going international and figuring this thing out. And they've done this mostly international. I mean, it's just like, enough, Will, enough. You're not good for college basketball. You're not good for it. I regret saying that I was happy that he had another opportunity to come back to college basketball, because the sport doesn't need this right now. He doesn't care about the sport.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not as bad as his Field of 68 diatribe where there's a great still shot of him giving the bird to Will Wade, which is great, but there's so many F-bombs that I don't even want to, risk taking in, bleeping them out. But so that clip didn't go into it, but he talks about a bunch of like anonymous coaches. Mm-hmm. The Will Wade experience, an experiment. I think it's good to have a villain in the sport, but I am in agreement. Like, and we say this as Louisville's building out, a mega roster in terms of how much you're paying. There is something that feels a little bit more when it comes to Will Wade, is there not?
Yeah, it's weird. Yes, there definitely is. There has over the years. Do you remember? I mean, of course you remember. Everybody does. There was such a massive push. People wanted Will Wade here. Like when Louisville went and got Pat Kelsey, I'll say that I was excited about the idea of getting Richard Pitino here, but that's more of a personal connection, a nostalgic longing for the past, if you will, for me. But Will Wade was a name that they were just like, it's not going to happen, obviously, because all the stuff that Louisville's already pulled themselves out of. But so many fans were trying to start their own little, their movements to get Will Wade to Louisville, and then NC State swooped in and got him after that. And I mean, look how it worked out for them in the end. They got 45 pieced or whatever by Michael Brown Jr. And all that. But it doesn't seem to, like, I think he's a fine coach. I don't understand the love for Will Wade, the coach. Like, I've never seen that he's been that successful at any job that he's really had outside of he's gotten some big name players. That's right. Yeah. And he talks his talk.
Well, and it's so bizarre. So the like Pat Kelsey, and I said this the other day with Andy, got all this shade, and Tom Izzo, like, and I mean, not just Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo was the one that had a camera in front of him. Dan Hurley, Scott Drew come to mind. Yep. They also kind of weren't a fan of the London Johnson situation with the G League, but
they were happy to openly criticize PK for it.
Exactly. And that's my point. Will Wade It's so funny to me, like these dudes are still anonymous in 2026. It's abundantly clear that these guys do not care for him. And Jeff Goodman, it is pretty rich. He got the green light. They were like, oh, I can say whatever I want about this guy. And he goes scorched earth on him. And it's like, why not put your name on it if you're not a fan of this guy? Nobody, if anything, you're going to be given your flowers. Remember, who was it? Was it Trent Dilfer down at like UAB called out people poaching him? And then, Dabo Swinney calling out the Ole Miss coach for, Texas as a linebacker during class. Like, I need more of that. I need more of it. If you hate it as much as you say, and you want these guys out of it, and you're a beacon of the sport, a titan of the name. Like if Tom Izzo and other, you think Tom Izzo likes Will Wade? Come on now, put your name on it. Like these dudes that go on these massive rants that want to vent. Like Jeff Goodman's like the a life coach or a therapy partner on this. It's so funny to me that they just don't put their name on it. It's so bizarre to me. It's Will Wade. Like you're not talking about Coach K or Dean Smith or Patino here. You're talking about Will freaking Wade. It's so bizarre.
I'm looking through his record right now. The best season he had was in 2018-2019. Went 25-5. He I guess the highest he was ranked was 9th in the AP. His preseason 23rd. They ended up being the regular season champs of the SEC, and they made the NCAA tournament. But he's done jack squat otherwise. Like he made the tournament a couple of years. Otherwise, a lot of his seasons are a lot of what I would look at as bad seasons. If we had Rick and guys like that, we'd be trying to fire them. 22-11. 18-15, 21-10, 19-10, 20-14 last year for an NC State in the ACC. And he had McNeese okay, but I think there was a lot of fake hype about how good McNeese was going to be. Remember how many times people were picking McNeese to make the big upsets in the tournament to go on a big run? And I was like, okay, sure, I guess, but no part of me ever understood that kind of momentum because he's never done it. There's never been a moment that I've ever seen him. I think he was one of those games that Cal would slip up on. That was the most where I could see that kind of backing or that kind of support coming from is just because he would be that guy that, the way I kind of viewed it as Coach Calipari beat Rick Pitino, lost to a ton of bums in the SEC. He'd go out there and he would just get worked, on a Tuesday night against LSU or against Mississippi State.
It's so funny to me. Yeah, it's like, dude, it's Will Wade. Don't protect them. All right, so Faro, hope you and the fam have a great time. Safe travels down there, and hopefully everybody has a great Memorial Day. I'll get Nick Kern on the other side. Appreciate you connecting from the Sofaro Sex Dungeon Studios down there. You and Tarullo doing a live tonight or ESPN Louisville Plus tonight?
I think we're gonna do it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think we did one on Thursday evening, so I think we're gonna do another one tonight. But it really depends. Just because is there something we're talking about? We're entering summer radio, and I think we're kind of just waiting for Strebel and him to be hit summertime, and then he can come on and we'll just do weird Sundays or with supernatural Sundays every Sunday night until the football season starts. It's kind of where I feel like we're going to be.
Him just floating on a raft in his above ground pool with multiple bush lights and an edible sounds perfect for him. All right, Sofaro, appreciate it, buddy. Nick Kern set to join us on the other side. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, ESPN Louisville Plus. Also, give Justin a follow, Justin Sofaro. I am Phil __ Baker. Nick Kern, I believe, is going to join us on the other side. Keep it locked here to your sports leader, ESPN 680 1057 and the ESPN Louisville app, and like and subscribe on YouTube.